I am a retired special agent with a federal agency. I guess I can name them Homeland Security Investigations, which was part of Immigration Customs Enforcement under Homeland, and had a 25-year career, a little over 25 years there. Really enjoyed it. I want to thank all your listeners for paying my salary all that time. And now I'm happily retired and working just as hard as I ever have on this podcast. But it's a labor of love, and it's a lot.
Yeah. And so what was it that got you from federal law enforcement role to now a podcast host?
John Correia, who's the owner and founder of Active Self-Protection, he and I were friends. So at about 99 or 2000, we were neighbors. I was working for DOJ at the time, and he was in the Navy. He was my downstairs neighbor. We became pretty fast friends, went to church together, and we just always stayed in touch. When he moved to Arizona, I went to seminary, became a pastor. We'd visit every month or two, and coming up towards my retirement, he was kind of looking for somewhere to plug me in, and I had the idea to maybe do a podcast to complement the main channel. And we weren't really sure what the podcast was going to be about initially. And it just made sense to try to find people that have been in these sort of self-defense encounters that we feature and highlight and break down on the main channel and talk about their experience. And we decided early on that it was going to be about those people and about their story, but primarily not so much about the incident itself, because that could be talked about in 5 minutes, but about all the time before and after the incident. So all the prep, training, if there was any, childhood issues, whatever might have gone into making that person who they were when that encounter began, and then discuss the encounter as much as we need to, and then move on to after the encounter. Frequently, we're talking to people that have been defensive encounters involving a firearm. They use a firearm to defend themselves, whether or not they necessarily pulled the trigger. So I think what people want to know is, okay, so what happens after the dust settles? Let's say you've won, in quotes, won a gunfight. You've survived it, and the bad guy maybe has a bullet in him. What happens when the police show up? What do you do? How do you act? Do you answer questions? Do you make a statement or not? And then beyond that, talking about issues about PTSD and how it affects your home life, because no one who's ever been in a situation like that is going to be quite the same again. And I think that's one of the things we want to pound home to people is don't think you're going to finish with your defensive shooting, no matter how justified it was, and go home and have a martini and high five the wife. That's not how it works.